So my name is Kris Theorin. For my short film, Grump in the Night, everything that wasn't the music composition or the writing was basically done by me. So all the directing, the cinematography, modeling, animation, editing, and basically every aspect of production was done by me over like a 4-month period. So we are a animation production studio that was started way back in 2015. And since then, we've specialized in doing commercial projects, both like promotional videos and actual like TV commercials. And then in between doing these like actual paid projects, we'll do our own like sort of short films or animations as a way to basically push our own like sort of craft forward and to basically showcase like what we can do in a more like narrative scenario. Yeah, so that was actually a 1-paragraph description that was written by my brother Nick back in 2017. Basically, I wanted a sort of short film that I could do on sort of a minimal budget and minimal minimal scope. So that's why the entire film was designed around this one room with this sort of one character fighting a ghost, just so it can basically be done by one person. And originally, back when I did this, I wanted to make it into sort of a 3D short film, but back in 2017, I wasn't as good at doing like sort of these 3D character-focused animations. So that eventually got shelved for a year, and I went back to it in 2018 and tried to make it into a 2D animation, which again, I did more work on, but that sort of fizzled out over time as I got busy with actual like commercial projects. And then recently, at the end of 2021, I went back to it for a third time, and then finally thought like, hey, this would actually be great using motion capture and being able to do it with an actual like 3D, like sort of Pixar looking character. I thought that like sort of medium would actually mesh with it very nicely. And once again, it was very much designed to like be done by like a one-man team, given its like limited scope. So I thought the time was like sort of perfect to create the film after all these years. For me, it's all about basically the whole ending of the short. The stuff that happens before it is very much inspired by the sort of classic like 1950s, 1960s sort of cartoons where you got these two characters that are locked in this sort of like back and forth tug of war battle over something. So I wanted this short film to be very much sort of inspired by that classic dynamic. But then on top of that, I wanted to basically give the whole thing a bit more depth, pretty much, make the ending, make the characters not purely just like, this is like the bad, annoying, evil ghost, and this is sort of the annoyed husband character who just wants to sleep. I wanted to add like, just another layer in there with that ending to sort of contextualize it all, and just to say, the message of how, we all have family that can annoy us. They all want things their way, but in the end, we still love each other, and we find a way to sort of like compromise in the end. So. Biggest challenge is obviously this was more or less a one-man project. Normally in 3D animation, you have like a whole pipeline. So there's like one person who directs, a group of animators, lighters, people who do the rigging, the texturing, and then you have editors, VFX people, and all that stuff. And that's just so you can basically create a very streamlined workflow. Everything sort of works the way it should, and no one is sort of like, no one is basically involved in multiple aspects of it. But since this was a personal project, I basically took on each of those responsibilities. So every aspect of it was basically controlled by me. So I would do all the modeling, all the texturing, and then all the stuff after that, which, yeah, it does take quite a while. But the one advantage of it is it becomes a very sort of, it gives it the whole thing a very unified vision, because in my head, I have the whole like sort of film planned out with how like each beat might work, how the music might play with it. And that lets me inform like how I do the storyboards, how I might give notes to the music people, and then what I might actually do when I'm doing the motion capture animation myself. So in that way, it's very much like that can be very much an advantage. But on the other hand, I am still just one person. So it did go on for about 4 months, working basically all week on the weekends for like 10 hours. Yeah, when I'm doing these short animations, like my favorite part is actually creating the characters themselves. So I'll start out with like a whole like Pinterest board each of these like references, other like sort of character designs that I like, that I want to get, be inspired by. I'll take that and make it into like a very sort of rough sketch, basically just for myself. So it's nowhere near polished, but it gets me sort of the overall shape of like the head, the body, how all the limbs might look. And then I'll take this whole sketch and then put it into my modeling program, ZBrush, and I'll actually sort of work on creating the actual 3D model for the character. After that, it's a whole process of bringing it to Cinema 4D, rigging it up, getting the facial animations to sort of not look super creepy, and getting the whole face rig basically set up. And then it goes on to the whole animation part, which is can be my favorite part because it's the motion capture part of it. So I'll attach like all the sensors to my limbs, and then I just mime out the motions, and create the whole film that way. And it's a very helpful tool to be able to use like motion capture as a great starting point for animation. And then I'll be able to take that and then refine the animation I got from that, making it look a bit more streamlined, a bit more animated, for lack of a better word. And so it looks like, so it leans a bit more cartoonish rather than looking like, just some guy doing these weird motions like in his basement. Yeah, the music I think is like one of the best parts of the film. We had our awesome music composers, Adam Cromwell and Dan Ruffalo, who started working on the score about a month and a half before the actual film was done, in trying to find like what sort of inspirations we might use. We were very much inspired by the video game Psychonauts. They have a great sort of main theme, I believe, that is very reminiscent of sort of like circus music, and it has a very sort of wacky, a little bit unhinged quality about it that we sort of really liked, especially for later in the film when the characters are doing like a whole back and forth tug of war thing. It had just the right amount of like weird instruments, while not going completely off the rails and becoming this sort of unhinged crazy music. Yeah, the best advice I could give, I would just say, is sort of just telling you like how I basically got started doing 3D animation on my own, because I'm basically mostly self-taught. A lot of like YouTube videos and a lot of just experimentation on my part is kind of how I learned. I did start 3D mainly back in like 2016, 2017. So it's been about 5 years of me doing stuff in this medium. And the way like I personally learned is by doing it in these sort of like stepping stones of complexity. So way back when I started out using, I started out super small. I did like a low poly looking planet from a tutorial I found on YouTube. I would then take the knowledge I learned from that, maybe do like some sort of like low poly character, take that and then actually keep going into like a more refined character, maybe start doing like some sort of like environment, like something simple, taking that, going into a more detailed environment, and basically just building each piece of knowledge on top of each other and using the next project to basically motivate myself to learn a new skill and to push myself just a little bit further while not taking like these huge leaps into areas where I might not have as firm of a grasp on something. All my stuff is, I upload all of it to my YouTube, my Instagram. So on YouTube, it's Something's Awry. On my Instagram, it's just my name, Kris Theorin. And so all the behind the scenes, all the actual animations, and then some other little renders or images that I create here and there, it all goes there. I recommend anyone who wants to see more of my stuff, go check it out. It's all sort of very in that more stylized cartoon 3D style that I'm a big fan of. So.